Hey everybody, it's Scott. This is Kylego number 25 for Rita and I. Um, we hope you like it, and we are probably going to mess it up. And um, with all that, we'll start. So Rita, you get to go first.
All right, I am going to speak about our cosmic landing community, and I'm going to put it just a month down the road. So it's the beginning of July, and we've had our community underway for a month, and man, it's just hitting people on just a deep level that this idea of quitting is so unusual and so freeing that they hear it and just feel immediate relief, just like things just wash off of them. And that draws them in to be a part of it and find out what this whole quitting thing is all about. And we already have 50 people in the community with us. And not everyone needs to be actively involved all the time, because what we're really about is our own evolution, our own progression, our own processing of our own feelings, and letting people watch that and see the results. And we let people know what our next experiment is, and then we're all waiting to see the results of that, because it's all experimenting. If I quit this one little thing, maybe this one idea that I've always had, or this one false belief I've had about myself, if I just quit that for a couple of days, what happens? And then maybe extend it to a week, and then maybe extend it forever. And then the false belief about myself goes away. And just letting people see what happens, see the results, see the changes that happens for each of us, gives them the courage to do their own experiments within their own lives. And especially my experiments tends to appear to be counterintuitive. Whereas, and so that gives them it opens up the options for people even more. They go, oh, I never would have thought of that. I'm going to try that. And just watching not only them change, but knowing that when one person changes, everybody around them has to change in some way or another. Either they have to adjust or they have to go away. So we're really feeling the impact of how each of us being dedicated to our own self-responsibility, to our own evolution, our own progression, our own healing. I forgot where that thought was originally going, but us being dedicated to that is so much. It gives everyone in the group the freedom to do as they please. There's no steps they have to follow to be really on board with the group. And we realize that we're presenting the system that has no steps other than feel what you feel and feel it fully, and then respond to what happens after that within yourself. So the system with no steps other than that is the only system there is, really. It's just we're like presenting a natural law of that has been lost in our society's ideas of how things are supposed to work. And there's no persuading, there's no convincing, there's no teaching. It's just being and being authentic with everyone, and that's the inspiration for everyone to do the same. So it's really fulfilling, and the connection, it's not even a connection to everybody in the group. It's not the people, individuals connecting with each other. It's watching everyone connect to themselves and feeling that connection to themselves that feels so good and makes it so easy. And people float in and out, but they always feel that support of the group because they know they're not alone doing this thing that's unusual and sometimes scary, because they're taking what looks like huge risks in their lives, risking how someone's going to react in a relationship, or risking a boss not giving them the raise, or even risking quitting their job if they really feel like there's something else they need to be doing. And whether they're really active in the group or not, they know the support is there when they need it. And it's a non-judgmental, it's non-punitive in any way. There's nobody has to do anything to be part of the group. And there aren't really any rules. It's just naturally evolved into this very loving, supportive community of people. And we're doing our essence meetings, and people show up as needed, and then everybody benefits from it, whether they're on the call or they watch the recording later. It just speaks perfectly to whatever is going on within each person. And there's my phone ringing. But
call from Robert J.
Okay. Yeah, it's just become a really wonderful service, and I feel so good about what we've created. And people are benefiting from it. So it's almost like what Kyle Cease does with Evolving Out Loud, but taking it to a new level, like just slightly deeper. And because we have a smaller group, and we can give more individual attention and more specific direction for specific issues that a person is going through. So it's all the same, but we're just taking it to a level that's not addressed in other groups and other coaches, clientele, in therapy, in religion. We're just creating a situation where people are free to take the risks that they need to take. And it's just gradually growing perfectly at the most perfect rate. And
that was just a little shout out to
Yes.
share, helped
Share
us
it.
with the mood. So yeah, so the cow is back. So um, we can decide to keep the cow or not. So there are no rules.
Wow,
Fun.
that seemed long after not doing it for a week.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
I will supercharge for four
Okay.
for you. I'm gonna change this tone because I can do it. That one sounds much fun.
Okay.
So that one's called Night Owl. So it doesn't sound like an owl. So it's July, and Rita's pretty much told us the essence of our group. And um, when we first Kylegoed about and talked about the group when it first started, it really did hit and resonate. And Rita was pretty. It was the first thing that she talked about was that we have to she and I have to keep on doing our own development too, so that other people can see that. Because if we didn't, it would feel like marketing, and if it would feel like something inauthentic. So this idea that we are all really paying attention to our own individual essence. And for a lot of folks, that means very different things. It means so much for me too, there's me and Rita who are in this group who have started this because we had some sort of a supposed head start, I guess, with all of the videos that we created and all the time that we did this. But for some, they've been doing this like even in their dreams or in other things, and this is kind of like the place where they feel like they've kind of landed and resonated. And so it even kind of sits more that this cosmic landing community, it doesn't feel like we've launched it, we've landed it, and it feels more, it's like a peaceful landing rather than just a cosmic launch, which I guess both of those could be the same, but it's been really fun to see over the last few months just how people can stay and lurk and listen, and all these things are happening for everyone. We don't feel like,
Thumbs up.
oh, my recording is still going, but
Well,
am I back?
yep, you're back.
All right. We will just take two and do that. So we mess it up. It's kind of like everything is happening for everyone in the group. So if someone is going through something, it just is something that's for the group and it's for them individually, but we can see that process for an individual going through. And it's so fascinating how people just hold the space for that person. There's no judgment. There's no people give tips and help out, but it's people get to feel what they feel, and they get to be supported if they want to achieve, or they get to be supported for Rita's experiments. Rita's been great about these counterintuitive experiments, like this counter practice, like the Celts in another book that I know calls it counter practice, where the whole world is kind of in this other practice that's very out of touch. But if we kind of step back and do a counter practice and decide that maybe those things aren't the best way to serve us, and maybe if we did like something else and stepped a different direction, we could actually see what that result could be in an experimental way, and just decide if that, how to integrate that for ourselves. And there's no judgment. And the whole I quit thing is a really funny tongue in cheek, but then some people really take it to heart because they feel like they have to do that, because if they stayed on the other path, it's just as crazy as quitting. So I feel like that there's always that tension, that resistance, and that creative comedy, which I think is helpful to people. This little creative comedy that allows laughter to come in, allows play to come in, and tears, and just some profound thoughts. And that's all that Rita really wanted, and we really want for this group. So
Creative comedy. That's good.
okay, creative comedy. I love it. All right.
and the counter practice.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go for 9 minutes too, and
Okay.
we'll see what happens with this one, just with the group. We started it and all of the down the road, and just yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
So it's July, and we have about 50 members in our group. And at the beginning, it was really kind of fun for me and a little bit of franticness, but I really enjoyed posting all of the videos in the beginning. I've learned a lot just as a curator of a group. So I really feel like my technical skills have grown. And when Rita and I started talking about this, we really figured out we did have to like just talk about our own growth in these Kylegos so that people could see that our growth keeps going. We're not here to market a system. So as Rita had said, so for me, it's been really wonderful just letting all these places, things show up for me with the personal touch I can develop with other folks. Just if there's something that I'm reading, I can share it. If there's something that I am using, like a tool like maybe Sark's micro movements, I can just share it. And so it's a venue where I can share, where Rita can share, where we can just show up and support wherever people are. And because we are who we are, in that group aspect, as we develop and as we change and as we show up for ourselves, we fill up more for ourselves. And as other people see that and do that for themselves, they see shifts and they're able to show up for people like in their life, people in their families, people on the group, and they get to make their own little movements in life, however small they are, or they can just lurk for a while and just absorb it in. And there's no rule. We don't have to be extroverts or introverts or play big or play small, because as we always said, those things are just constructions that we create. And so as we grow, it's just this whole message of just keep growing inward. And for me, growing inward was, and continues to be, I feel it when I don't walk in the woods. I feel it when I'm not my authentic self saying what I know is on my heart. So I have really evolved, and it's been something that's been tougher for me to really share what's on my heart, even if it's a difficult situation for me. And that's one thing that I've had some instances with, and then of course it's Minnesota. I live in Minnesota, but I'm moving to Iowa, and so hopefully that geography will change things. But through this process of me, I have to show up, I guess, a little differently than other people, but I don't necessarily put on that air. I've learned how to, over the last few months, that this is how I need to just be open more fully, and also light with myself if I don't show up fully. And fully for me has been sharing my feelings, sharing everything, this messiness that kind of melds in the middle, the good, the bad, the strange, the comedic. And so when I show up on other things, like for Essence meetings, and also I'll show up and pull cards as well, and really talk about those aspects because they're really important to me. And I encourage other people, and other people have created videos of just sharing their wisdom and sharing what's on their heart, which I think is amazing because they get to then be, the contributors, and like their story becomes our story, and their story becomes for all of us. And it is more intimate. We don't feel like people get lost so easily. So when someone reaches out, we don't have 500, 600 people. We have 50. And we may grow over time, but we have this smaller group and we can show up. And because there's a smaller group, all sorts of us can show up, and start to get to know people more intimately if we want to, or we can just lurk in the background if we want to. But I like right now these developments of the smaller group that have just more opportunity for me to number one, I can stay quiet. I don't have to be a cheerleader. And I think a lot of groups out there want a cheerleader at the forefront. And I have like my comedic cheerleader things, but really I'm learning to be that authentic self where I can be quiet at times, where I don't have to inject an opinion or just feel like I have to jump in. I can let somebody be in their feelings, and I can let someone go through their process. And maybe if you messages down the road, kind of like show them support when they actually make a shift. And people have called me on this. You were pretty quiet about that, Scott, weren't you? And I think you were quiet for a reason, weren't you? And I just do a little smiley face. And so so that's a little bit of the comedic, but so it's also gives me permission to just sort of be those pieces of myself that are introverted that I don't let out all the time. It's so weird to think that I don't let my introvert side out as much, because here I am, a web designer and a techie, and I do videos and I do card readings, but this place to me is starting to feel very special because I can let my introvert side out and my quiet side out. And even though I do speak on video and I do show up, I really sort of encourage that quietness now. And it's different. And I really like that, because we don't have to be these overachievers to be embraced in life. And I want to share that even more. So if we have someone who feels like they're a total failure, someone comes in and says, well, I'm a failure too. And I love that. So it's, and then we have a good laugh and chuckle, but this whole I quit thing, it means that maybe we quit those attitudes that just because we're not achieving according to society's whim, we can quit that too. We can quit that and say, I'm enough. I'm totally enough right now. I'm enough in my quietness. I'm enough in my way of being in the world. And I can tell other people that they're enough by feeling all the things they feel and by going through the things that they go through. And that seems to be, for me, that's like better than therapy, just to realize that I'm enough and to be encouraged that I'm enough. So, and I've learned to be vulnerable in this group too. I'm not above being vulnerable and sharing my own feelings as well. So it's not that I'm just a moderator. I'm just the curator, like with Rita. We're active and we can show up and we can be vulnerable too. And I think that people like that because it's more real. And we want to be more real, because if we weren't real, we'd just quit. So if it wasn't real to us, we'd quit, and that's okay. We maybe we will someday. It's like, sorry, we're done with it, so nobody's going to get charged any more money showing up, and then somebody can take over. We quit. So I don't know if that'll happen, but it's just, if it's real, we'll be with it. And we've learned a lot about walking out, and I love walking out. I love walking out and stepping into something so that there's more excitement with what you look forward to than what you feel like you're going to lose by, not walking out. So it's like, if I step out, who's not going to love me? So, well, your new story might be more important. Your new story might make more people love you. Your new story and your real story may make people really love you, the real you, more. So I've had to learn that too. The more I talk about my real story, then I've had people tell me that I've helped them just by sharing my own real story, my own story of happy, struggle, crazy, middle, whimsical, comical, messy, sometimes weepy, crazy, or my intuitive sides that even I sometimes doubt, and sometimes don't doubt. So that's me.
Good.
I miss the cows. I'm going to put them back. So yeah, it's like cows, of course.
That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like I have a lot after that.
Sorry, setting the ringtone. I'll mute myself now. There you go.
All right. Okay. So as Scott was explaining what we are about in our group and what our group, the dynamic of the group, it occurred to me that what makes us different is that we are coming from an introverted place. And that automatically makes us more thorough and soulful and conscientious and aware of everybody in the group. That's just our natural state. So what's drawing people to us is that we're just average people and we're doing this. So that just opens up a door that if somebody already has a massive following of people and they have this real success that gives them the credentials to be the leader of their group, it kind of puts a barrier between them and the people who join because they have a certain celebrity. And so that automatically makes someone like me go, well, yeah, but I can't do that because A, I don't want to be on a stage, and B, I don't already have that celebrity. I'm just here in my life. So that's what's really drawn people to give what we have going on a try. And it helps them feel with Scott's curating and being quiet and sharing his feelings and me sharing everything that I'm going through, it just creates a space where other people can, well, they notice that they don't have to share everything. Like they notice the quiet parts where Scott just doesn't respond. Like when there's a rant or a complaining about someone else in their life that isn't being nice to them, it's just like, okay, we just let that slide by because it's not really part of the feeling deep inside of that experience. So when nobody responds to that, it doesn't give it energy. And so there's this real quiet ease in the group. And one thing that's really been really funny and freeing is that we decided to have these fantastic failure parties. And we get together every once in a while and tell what the latest thing we have totally failed at. And we all learn from everybody's failures. And because the failures are often really, really important and building, they're like foundational to the next thing. So we present our failures, and that makes us grow even more inward. And the support, I do want to say the support of the group is not what a lot of groups offer. It's I'm not sure if I have the words for it right at the moment, but I think, well, Scott had it earlier. He said it's not a cheerleading at all. It's a really deep type of soulful support. And that might be understood more thoroughly later, but that's something that's very important to us. Okay.
It's fun to kind of like speak after the cow. But it's,
Yeah.
timers are optional.
You don't always want to follow a cow, but